We're recording.
All right. Hey, good evening, Pink Power. So excited to be here doing this call tonight. Fallon and Courtney had done part 1 last week on social media Instagram training. So tonight we are going to continue with part 2, which is going to be all about stories for our Instagram and our Facebook. So I am Tiffany Wilson, Diamond Ambassador, and we also have Fallon Black on with us tonight, Diamond Gold Ambassador. So, all right, so I think we'll kick it off by kind of just talking about stories, what stories are, how you come up with the ideas to post, that kind of stuff. For anyone that maybe doesn't know, okay, what's an Instagram story? You know, maybe you're using stories or not using stories. So Fal, want to go ahead and share some stuff with how we come up with ideas to post, where we find it, anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. So stories they're a little intimidating at first. I know Tiffany and I both felt like, oh my gosh, we do not have time to be talking on our stories all day, because that's what it seems like. The stories that I made today, and I did a little more than normal, took me probably about 10, maybe 15 minutes total. That's record time, adding stickers, adding hashtags, all of that. So it really doesn't take that long. And Tiffany made an amazing PowerPoint, and we're going to talk about exactly what to do and all of that stuff. But I think at first I especially was like, I need it to be perfect too. Like I didn't want to start something until I looked professional. I mean, especially as a diamond, like I need to look like I know what I'm doing, right? And it couldn't be boring, and it had to be unique. And I had this long list. And finally I told myself, no, you just need to start. You have to start somewhere, and don't expect perfection. We've been hearing for a couple of years now, I know Rebecca Folks has talked about this, but lots of diamonds have talked about this, where stories is where it's at. Everybody keeps saying like stories is where it's at. And that's because you'll get a lot more engagement. So there's going to be polls and different things you can do to get people in, and you can see exactly who's viewing your stuff. It's not just who likes and who comments. So you can see a lot more of those numbers and everything. So where to get ideas, I love to just, especially when I was learning how to do this, just kind of like watch other people's stories and not really steal their ideas, but just kind of see what they're doing, like whose things that I love and what were they doing. I have some non-Plexus people that I love to follow, but as far as Plexus people, Ashley Kinsel stories are great. Brooke Hemingway, Emily Gibson, Celeste, Abby Kappa, Emily Roberts, Trisha Rager. Those are Marianne Anderson. Hers are really good. But these are people that you can follow, see what they're doing. I mean, they're Christmas shopping, they're posting recipes, they're posting funny things that their kids do. Just normal everyday life. I like to think of your stories as your story reel, just like day-to-day life, all the mundane things. What toothpaste are you using, or you just went shopping, or what you made for dinner, share a good recipe, stuff like that. And then the actual posts that you want to post are going to be the highlights: a kid's birthday, an anniversary, a thought-provoking or heartfelt post where you write a longer post, basically. Something that you think, oh, this will get lots of likes or lots of comments, stuff like that. You still want to keep the normal ratio of, you know, your 3 posts a day, 2 personal, 1 Plexus. That's a question that we get asked a lot. And you want to make sure that, you know, when you post 1 Plexus, it's a couple stories. Like you want a beginning, a middle, and an end to your story, whether it's a testimony or, hey, here's some symptoms, would you like more information, stuff like that. But you still want to make sure you try to do that, whether it's a mix of stories or posts on your walls, stuff like that. And then let's see what else. I just have a couple notes before Tiff gets into the PowerPoint. Something else that's really handy, my sister just taught me this, but she records, and I have been recording in the moment, and then hitting the save button on your stories on Instagram. So record everything in your stories and then hit the save button. So you're enjoying the moment, you've got your quick little video, and then you're gonna go back maybe that evening, take 5 minutes after you get the kids to bed, and post your stickers, your hashtags, your music, whatever, but you have it all right there with your cute little filter on Instagram, but you don't have to think about it. I don't know if that's a new feature or what, but it used to seem like I had to have it all together before I could do it, because then it was going to post. Another thing that's really important too is with your algorithm, to get your stories seen, just like we wanted likes and comments on Facebook, your algorithm on your stories is really important too. You want to be commenting, you want to be hearting or liking people's stories on Facebook and Instagram. I notice my Facebook stories get more interaction because that's where my audience is, because that's where I've built, that's where I've been commenting on people's stuff. My Instagram, it doesn't get so much unless I do a poll, and then I'm like, who are these people commenting on my stuff? So remember too with your algorithm that you want to post lots of videos, lots of talking. I know Celeste one time did a poll. She asked people, do you like a lot of talking or do you just like pictures? And people said that they liked the videos. So go ahead and make some videos, talk about your life. People love that kind of stuff. But don't just post yourself talking, add something at the bottom, like whatever you're talking about, to draw people in, to make them turn the sound on in case they don't have it on, because I won't listen with the sound on ever unless somebody has some good words there, and then I'll turn it on just to hear what they have to say. So, all right, Tiff, you ready for that?
Yeah, I love all that. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to say that I used to ask Fallon all the time. I thought that stories were a waste of time. Like, I could not figure out for the life of me how to do it. And then one day I just kind of started to do it. And then I started to have a mindset that it was fun. And honestly, I can't imagine not doing stories now. Like, it's so fun. And my kids are like, hey, story. But it's just, you know, it's sharing, creating a story for others to see our life and all the details versus, you know, just a highlight reel. You know, they can see everything with us, and that actually we're normal people. With day in and day out struggles, or, you know, whatever it is, you know, we're momming just like everybody else over here. So I've really come to just love stories. And
That's
it's also
a good point. I was going to say that too. Stories make you seem like a real person, right?
Yes.
Like you can relate, and that when you're selling online to somebody, you want them to be able to feel like they can relate to you. They can connect to you. They buy into what you're doing, and stories are by far the best way to do that.
Yep. And honestly, too, I think it makes you more comfortable with your audience. So if you don't maybe do as many lives online, you know, stories get you into that to where you feel more comfortable, whether it's because you see people are interested in it or whatever it is right there behind that mindset, it draws in excitement. So that's another thing to keep in mind too. So, okay, let me go ahead and start the sharing screen here. Okay, did it come up, Val?
Yep.
Okay, so, all right, hopefully it doesn't cut anything off at the bar. Okay, so I had asked a couple of my leaders and stuff this week, and some sideline sisters and stuff like that, just some different things that they thought would be helpful to go over. So I hope that this slide helps everybody to kind of, you know, understand Instagram more and the short stories that we are sharing. So one of the things was, you know, do I need Instagram for stories? And yes, I know that Facebook has a story feature, but y'all, it is literally nothing like Instagram when it comes to, like, I'm a type 7, so I think Instagram is just like fun with the stories and all of that. So yes, you need stories. And like I noted here, 500 million people around the world right now are using Instagram stories on a daily basis. And that number is only getting bigger. Right here is a breakdown for my greens. I know y'all love this. Here we can see how the stories have evolved, and you can also see where Facebook is starting to go up to with story growth. So how long is too long for a story? So this is a question that I get asked a lot, and what I found was I had done some digging. I saw some polls, and there was a company that was doing some research and studies, and they said that 7 stories is an optimal posting length or length, and that that after 7 stories, your completion rate does drop below 70%, but 12 to 20 story frames, the results are still good. And honestly, there's not a lot of difference between 12 and 20 versus 1 and 7. And I think the other thing is that, you know, they went on to say that 20 or more stories, you're still seeing a 55% or greater completion rate of everybody watching your stories. So overall, these accounts that they checked and the optimal posting length of all the accounts, the average was 65% with the story. So people were sticking around, and you could see that this was very engaging. So let's see. Okay. Then the next question I had been asked was, you know, best times for these stories. So that's going to be outside of work hours, right? So your optimal story posting time is going to be from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, and then 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. So people, what this is showing us is that people are watching your stories, you know, before work, on lunch breaks, in the evenings after work. So you posting during these prime hours is going to give your stories that maximum viewing. Now I want to go into here how to, this is how to link. A lot of people might not know. I'm trying to minimize my thing here. Okay. Okay, so how to link Instagram to Facebook. If you do have a business account like Fallon, I do not believe you can do this. I don't have that. I kept it because I like simplicity and easy, and I just thought this was easy to get it over there. There's ways to save it if you do, and then post it on Facebook. But so what you see is you would go to your Instagram profile, which we have over here on the left side. You'd click the 3 lines. That's going to bring you over to settings, and then clicking on account, linked accounts, and Facebook to be able to add your Facebook account. You should also be able to take screenshots while we're showing this slide, so y'all can go back and reference this. I will post this as well after the call for us, so you will have access to this slide for people that want to go back and reference. So that's going to be how to link your Instagram to Facebook before getting started. If you don't have Instagram, sign up. It's really no more difficult than just going over, creating an account, and getting started. We all get started somewhere, so definitely good to do. Okay, some apps to use that I have found useful, and in my examples, I'll tell you which apps I did use. But so for most of my stories, I do use an app called Unfold. That's what I'd say probably 90% of my stories are. And then if I want to add more wording and stuff, I'll use Word Swag, which is down there at the bottom. Story Swag is also good. Canva is good. Insta Stories are good. These also, not all of these are free, but there's a lot of free templates and things like that in there. So there's free in every one. It just depends, you know, what you'd want to pay. Some are one-time fees, some are a monthly fee, that type of thing, but they all do have free components in them. Okay, so here was one that, and I'm going to let Fallon talk a little more on this too as I go through here. She'll probably add some things because she was telling me today how important this is, and she had some great thoughts on it. And so I added this in there today, but creating your highlight buttons when you get started. And I was like, oh yeah, this is good to get started. So Fallon will talk more about it. But so what it is you're going to click on the new tab. I use the Canva app, and then I create it. So Val, do you want to kind of, I'll move over onto the next graphic so you can kind of walk them through what it is and how.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you use Canva, but.
Well, yeah, I did create a highlight button. So what a highlight button is, if you've ever put a story up there, basically, to me, it was like, I'm going to put all this work into a story and then it's going to disappear after 24 hours. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then I found out about the highlight button. So after your story, even like at the beginning of it or after 48 hours or 60 hours, however long it's been, it will archive and you can find all of your former posts or your former stories, and then you can categorize them. So I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like I have fitness stuff, I have food stuff, I have book stuff. It's so organized. And when I go to stalk someone and be like, what they all about, or a fitness person and I want their workouts, I don't even go to their wall and like scroll through all of that. I want to see their stories. I want to see who this person is. So that is my favorite thing. I've gotten like so many hair tutorials and lots of different things just from looking at that. So like Tiffany's talking about, you can create highlight buttons, or you don't even have to do this. You can just have a picture there. And a lot of people do, and that's super cute. And I've gone back and forth of whether I want to have my buttons there or not. But okay, so we did ours in Canva. You can literally go in there and create an Instagram story, pick the blank. You can make it white. You can pick any color you want. And then you just need to search. You can add your text and all of that. And then what does it say? The search illustrations.
Yeah,
but
illustrations.
Type in anything. And these are free. Most of these are free. And then you just put it on there and then put that on your story. And then you just have really simple buttons. I know Natalie Dolan has some cute ones. Tiffany, there's a lot of cute ones. Courtney does. So go and look at those for some ideas, or just have your normal stories up there.
Yes, I love that you mentioned that, because then today I was like, oh, she's right. All the work I put in, I think I'll add them to my buttons. So I'm still a work in progress with that, but they're there, so you'll be able to go back and do that. So, all right, let's see here. All right, so moving on, some important tips. Here we have posting your best contents first. And so what that is on average, more people are gonna exit on the first and last story than any other part of your stories. So that means that if your first story doesn't capture their attention, then they're gonna quickly exit your stories. And I liked, Fallon and Courtney talked last week about kind of making, like we have attraction marketing, right? So making what did they talk about? Like Fallon will throw some things out of her room to get a cute picture of something, or, and it's real life too, but it's just kind of making it appear to the person that's going in and looking at that. So yeah, do you want to add anything to that, Fal, from last week that y'all said?
Sometimes, like I posted a story today, like I did a boomerang on my workout or my lounge pants. I left some of my boxes in there because I had just gotten back from the post office and I was opening stuff, and it kind of flowed with my story. So I didn't feel like I needed a clean area. I wasn't trying to ask people which dress for convention or something. Like I didn't need a clear space. It kind of all went together. Like it was a casual day today. And something else that I love about this with exiting stories is, if you want to, this is so easy to gauge if people are enjoying your stories or not. I posted like on doing my groceries, like just going through all of my groceries, and I was surprised that, so there were 300 people and then there were 299 and 298, but it didn't drop off to 216. Like there wasn't like this drastic drop off of everybody exited my story. It was very consistent because it'll tell you how many people are still watching it, and then you can click and you can see which people stayed through all the way to the end, and it kind of helps you gauge if people are liking your content. Because again, I don't post things for myself. I post for the people who are watching my stories, and it's for them. And if they don't like it, then I'm not doing my job at influencing people or adding value.
Yes, I love that. And my place looked like a mess earlier behind me. I had all of my baby stuff thrown out, so then I kind of spruced it up a little. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Val. All right. And then I did have a little example here where how you can see Airbnb, they went through their stories to slowly reveal the content in order to encourage the users to move on to the next story. So they only revealed the answer at the very last frame. So they kept their users, engaged in that. And so I had, okay, so yeah, there was that. Okay. And then moving on, number 2, and I'll have some more examples on down here too for us. But so moving on, number 2 was posting consistently to stories and how important this is. And again, stories is you know, one of the most engaging ways now on social media with the completion rates above that 50%, people are using this daily. And so these don't have to be complicated, as we mentioned in the beginning. And simplicity basically means just using a background image, quickly telling your story, adding a short copy to convey the message like Fallon talked about, and then just decorating it with graphics and logos. Like Fallon said earlier, for us, we've been doing this a while, but they take us no more than 10, 15 minutes to create those and have them up there. So, and I think another thing
at the beginning, it
definitely, at the beginning,
I'm an impatient person, and I was like, I cannot live the rest of my life spending 2 hours making these stories. Like, I refuse, and I cannot duplicate this. So it took me a while to get on track with this, but it does get easier. And I think Tiffany and I are going to talk about it later, but there's maybe 5 to 10 basic things that you do, and you just repeat it. It's really easy to duplicate.
Yep. And as you start to understand the stories too, and as you see more examples of how to do that, you get quicker with knowing what to find. And I think another thing that's important to go along with consistency is Bob Heilig actually talked about stories in one of his classes. And you know, you can't just be doing this for 3, 4, 5 days and expect results. You want to give this time for results and engagement. So like anything else, when you're first starting PLEXUS, it's going to be the same with this. If you, if you're just starting over at Instagram, we'll mention that too, but not focusing there right now, but just using that for your stories to get your stories pulled over to Facebook, which we can touch more on here. Okay, so then I have, so here was an example that I had, and this was creating that engagement by showing, and I actually haven't posted this yet, so I used Unfolded Word Swag to do this, but I would add little gifts around here, and then at the end, I highlighted and brought to the front my life, fuel, and clean energy. So, now, when it comes to finding these gifts that you're going to add onto here, that's what the next slide is here. And this is going to be how you're going to create a story, okay? So this is basically, where you find those gifts, and then using the polls and different things like that. And I'm sure Fallon will have some stuff to add in here. But starting out, you can go into your profile. You can also do it from your home page at the top left. You would see your face. But anywhere where you see your face, you can click on that, and it's going to take you over to your story where you can hit the little plus sign and then create a story. You can do a live, you can create normal, boomerang. There's some different things along the bottom you can kind of experiment with. So for me, I wanted to pull up a picture. So where the arrow is, I pulled up a picture, and then at the top right, you can see where on the little square block looking guy, smiley face, that's where you're going to find all of your, the polls, the questions, the music, the dates, the hashtags, your mentions, location, the gifts, all of that. And I think it's fun to hashtag companies and stuff like that too, because a lot of times when you mention them or hashtag them, they're going to come back, and sometimes they'll share it in their stories, or they'll send you a message and, way to go, Tiffany, or, whatever it is you're doing, if I was riding my bike or something like that. So yeah, so that shows that. Do you want to say anything about these, Val?
I was trying to see, is this where you're going to talk about all the features on Instagram here? It looks like I'm looking ahead on the PowerPoint because I didn't look ahead before. Okay, yeah, you can go back to where you were then.
Okay.
Yep. I think it looks overwhelming. If you're like me, you get overwhelmed and you just don't want to deal. It does. So on the second to the last thing right there where Tiffany said you click that little sticker, then you have that right there, and then you see all these things. You have music, you have hashtags, you have mentions, locations, polls. I haven't even used all of them. You're going to figure out what are your favorites. And I would say pick 2 or 3, and then you're going to have enough variety where you don't feel like you have to do every little thing, like a countdown and a chat. Like, don't feel like you have to do all of that. I love music, so the music is one of my favorites. Whenever I can have like a still picture, a video that you don't want to hear the background noise, but you want to show it, like put some music on. To me, that's just so much fun. The mention is another one of my favorites because the companies, a lot of times, because they're really trying to engage with people, is they'll write back and they'll say something, or they'll mention you on their story, and that boosts your algorithm too. And so that I posted about the giving manger, and they wrote me, and that was really sweet. And I've had companies reach out to ask if I want to post about their brand or whatever, stuff like that. So those are fun. Polls, are you going to talk more about that, or do we talk about that here?
Yeah, you can talk about polls here. Moving over to the next slide here. Okay, there. You can see what the poll looks like. And I do have some good thoughts on the polls too. So go ahead and share yours.
Okay.
And this is just sending it to and then posting it. This is how to post it. You'll see it'll come up and say your stories and Facebook story, and then you share that.
It looks like, girl, you have a link up there, right, to the left of the sticker thing. Like, you can post links. You can post websites and stuff.
Yeah, you can, but not like yours. Not like if you have over 10,000 followers. Okay. It's kind of like more if you have like an endorsed sponsor or something like that.
Okay, so they're constantly adding new things, but that's a fun, I posted today, like my workout shirt, just, it's a fun thing. And then I'll say like 23 people clicked on it, and I'm like, oh, people actually care what I'm posting about, you know? So that's a lot of fun. But I really love the polls. I have 3 people that I'm working with. I'm trying to get them closed on Instagram, my first 3, but they've all come from polls. They want more information, and it's such an easy way for them to say, hey, I want more information. It's not like they have to reach out and message you and it's awkward. You are literally asking, yeah, like Sally's saying, I'm telling you guys, if you want to see what your audience, and if any of them are interested in PLEXUS, polls would be the best thing to do. So get some personal stuff thrown up there and then do a poll. And for these, what I do is I'll screenshot what Tiffany posts or somebody else has posted, and then I will put my own poll sticker over top. You can't use theirs. It won't be clickable. You have to add your own sticker over top of that. But it's so helpful for pulling out people and seeing who's interested. I will tell you something I learned before Tiffany shares her thoughts on this. I posted, I want more information on the left, and then I posted, I could give a care less on the right.
That's
and a lot of people will accidentally hit your poll button if it's posted right there in the wrong area on your story. So I had so many people say they could give a care less, and I'm like, don't post the negative part of your question over on that side, because you're going to have your ratio off and it's going to look like nobody really cares. So lesson learned there. But the girl wrote me and she's like, I don't know why 53% of people said they could care less. I think this is important, and she wants more information. So.
Well, and that's the thing I was going to say is I never give them an option in my story to say no. So like you can see here, like I said, give me some of that or more info, please. So I'll always have it varied. I'll never have it where it's like, no, thank you. Like, we're not here. We're not in the business for no thank yous, right? Because they don't know what they don't know. So they need this regardless of what they think they need or don't need. So, and I get engagement on both of those buttons. And you'll see through my stories and some other examples I have, you can see how I kind of vary that wording to, you know, like I'd like a sample or send me more info or whatever it is relating to it. So yeah, that's what I was going to add in there. And you can also, anyone that doesn't know, you are able to hold down here on this graphic on the left. And when you hold down on it, the writing will disappear and people's names, and then you're able to screenshot that. So that is kind of, you might see some people doing that. If they're not creating it, they're able to screenshot it. And then like Fallon said, add your own poll over top of theirs. So yeah. All right. I think, okay. And then I think the next few slides here are some examples. Okay, so here was just an example of one I used. In the app that I used, I did all of this in Unfold. So you can see over to the left, that's starting out in Unfold. And this was a popular one I did. I had gotten a lot of send me more infos on the 100%. But I just put some of those little star things are moving GIFs and stuff like that. And then it moves over to bring into focus that mom feel more. So. There's an example. Here was another popular example that I had just recently done, and you can see where this was just me layering the stuff over. So I put up, you know, tell her she can't make a living. Then I went over to that. I layered it with more wording. Probably should have changed the color there, but I layered it again, and then I said, and you can see where I said, tell me more, or I said, new year, new me, right? So I reached out to all those people that said, tell me more, as well as the ones that said, hey, new year, new me, because I want to find out, hey, what are your health goals? How can I help them? And we're going to go into more of how to engage with them too here shortly. So here's some other examples of some things I did. I mean, bless it all. I put everything up there, y'all. I just got a bike, a Peloton. So I'm like obsessed with it, and I'm pretty sure I'll probably be always talking about it. And I'm excited to get off this call tonight to go on it. But so I posted about that. My dog ate a sock, if you've been following me, really ridiculous. We've been tracking her for days to make sure that it exited the other side. It was found. I posted about my PLEXUS, you know, I hashtagged I hashtagged Mahalo PLEXUS, and then I put Olokai. So I linked Olokai, and they had wrote me and were like, oh, they commented or something. And so that's such a sweet thing of you to do for your husband or something like that. I talked about my elves making a mess, and I made sure to hashtag clean energy, balanced blood sugar, balanced life, because people could see that. So my stories would show up to them. I do a lot of things with some recipes up there, food, people love that. I got a new Foodie Ninja oven, so I posted about that, and I said that I traded in like all these other appliances for that. And then of course, like I post my kids up there. I mean, really, you can do so much. Fallon does a lot of fun things too, videos. So, you know, you can get examples, and we can give some examples of some Instagrams to follow too, I think. So remember that, Val. Okay, so the next one was layering pics. I've been asked a lot about how I did this. It's really super simple. You don't have to feel like you have to do this. Screenshot it. Once you get the hang of stuff, come back and do this. I posted a recipe. I had the ingredients picture that I uploaded. I sent it over. Then I went into my personal pictures on my phone where I hit the upload button and I hit copy picture. Then after I did that, I went back into the Instagram app and up popped a sticker for the instructions. So I was able to tap on add sticker, and bam, it added it as a sticker on top of my other one. And then you can create fun stuff on top of that. So there's a couple times that's helpful for different things you're doing too. That's just one of my favorite things to do. So I think, screenshot and come back to that. You don't have to learn that right now. Okay, so next is one, we're gonna go more into how you are engaging your audience. So this is recruiting, creating that engagement and the interaction, right? So you can see here where I'm gonna show you here how you're able to check that. So you go up on your Instagram, those buttons, you hit your archive, you can go back in and you can check all of these. And I'll show you too with Facebook, that slide's coming up. But so you can see all your archives. You can see where I posted something about back on the beginning of December that kids want these $1,000 cell phones. We just wanted that tacky mess. And so you could see where I had the yeses, and then people were saying, what is that? And then if I went over to my stories, I could see where, how many people voted yes and how many people voted one. So let me quick also share, and then we'll talk more about this, but some quick tips on that is just to, Bear makes me laugh, this picture. So some quick tips on that are to check your viewers, because on Instagram, after 24 hours, those viewers are not gonna be there unless it's a poll. So you'll see right over here, you cannot see who viewed my son's marshmallow up his nose. But you can see who still viewed who voted on my my poll for chili. So that's on Instagram. So make sure if you're tracking who's watching, you do that within 24 hours, but your polls will be there. Now, the good news is if you're moving this over to Facebook, it's all going to be there, right? So you go to your Facebook page, your profile, click the 3 dots, story archive, your story archive, And then you're going to be able to see all the viewers going back however far you go back. So your viewers are not going to disappear. So you can kind of see that there. Okay, so going back here, okay, do you want to talk a little bit about just engaging with people, building a relationship, you know, bringing up PLEXUS, voting, what that looks like, some things like that?
So the people, when they comment on your stuff, they usually will say something fake, or they'll just comment, yes, I'd like more information. And then, I mean, the key is to ask a lot of questions. So I'll be like, well, what exactly are you struggling with? What all have you tried so far? Usually hear that people have not tried any supplements, because I'll try to ask, like, what are you already on? And that gives me a way to say, like, ours is better. I just try to keep the conversation going by constantly asking questions, and then doing their stories and commenting back on their stories. So really it's just building that relationship with them on the things that they're posting too, while you're talking about PLEXUS, and just try to talk about both at once, kind of. So I get really excited if someone comments and like their wall's super cute and we have things in common, and then it's like, oh, this conversation is going to be really easy because I can talk a lot about their personal life too, and then that just kind of brings them closer to you faster, and then you have a new friend, and that's a lot of fun. So it's really just kind of getting to know people, and asking questions and keeping the conversation going until they decide to try it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree with that. So mostly just, I mean, everything she said, I'll go in, I'll see who's viewing, who's going through to the end. A lot of times the people that are engaging towards the end, especially if it's PLEXUS related, those are the people that you're going to know, okay, this is, you know, this is, you know, you're able, I think, to engage like hotter on them, you know, like they're really interested in this because they're watching this. So, you know, I'm engaging with them, building a relationship, but at the same time saying, hey, you know, I'd love to talk about health and wellness goals. I'll ask them a little bit of question about them, like Fallon mentioned, that kind of stuff. So I don't think there's any real, you know, you have to do it this way or that way. Just do what, you know, is comfortable and good. And, you know, don't feel like you have to be building a relationship for weeks and weeks and weeks. We talk about that with other stuff too. You know, really, you should be doing this. I mean, if I'm not bringing up PLEXUS within probably 2 weeks of meeting someone, I think it's just awkward at that point, because it's my business. It's what I do every day. It's what I'm passionate about. Why would I be not wanting to share it with them, right? Then I think it makes me look like some type of a con artist if I'm not sharing about how much it's changed my life. So, okay, going on here through these. The other thing was that I love when you use Instagram, if you type in PLEXUS, there are cute PLEXUS graphics. And I get asked all the time, where do you get those little PLEXUS graphics? It's in Instagram. So I just use my Instagram, share it over to stories, and there they are. So I think, okay, that is the end of my slide. So let me stop sharing. Anything else? I guess that's good for the slide, and then we can chat some more here.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts of Instagram is that when you think about going live and making videos, you think you have to have all your makeup on, your hair has to be done. You don't, because there's so many cute filters on there that can make you look good even when you're having a bad day. And I'm not just talking about the fake eyelash and glitter eyeshadow ones. I'm just talking about changing the color so that everything is a uniform color and they can't see if your cheeks are blotchy because you are running or whatever. So that is one of my favorite parts. So how you get the cute filters. If you see someone with a cute filter, and my sister taught me this, you just click up at the top where it says, mine says like Tiffany and Hottie 2.0 or something like that. I don't know. So you just click on it and then you can try it, or you can save it and then you can also scroll through and find more. So that's down at the bottom where it already comes with a few pre-set up filters, but that's something that I personally love.
Yeah, that's
so fun.
Yeah, I actually just asked you guys about that. I'm like, where do you find these filters? And then I realized when you are watching that, it's up there in the top left. So you can see that. Another thing I wanted to bring up here before we close it out is I don't want you to feel like you have to, I don't have a lot of followers. I mean, I think I've got 1,300 almost over there or something. My market, y'all, is still on Facebook. I bring in a lot. I mean, I meet a lot of cancer mamas on Instagram too, but I still have a big network from a lot of groups I'm in. Some of the Peloton, there's huge Facebook groups. I've met a few women just from owning that bike. So a lot of my market is still on Facebook. And so I don't use Instagram. I should probably post a little more over there. I mean, I don't even think Fallon has had a post since like August. I haven't had a post for several weeks too over there, but I do use it for my stories. So it's almost like I'm knocking out two things at once. I'm still sort of engaging that audience over there and creating that, but then I'm bringing them in, but I'm also engaging my market over on Facebook where I'm primarily at. So don't feel like if you don't have an Instagram or you do have an Instagram that you have to totally leave Facebook and run to Instagram, because, you know, a lot of us, there's momentum going on right now. Work where your momentum is, where your business is. So I wanted to bring that up because I know a few people are like, well, I don't really use Instagram. That's totally fine. I just love it for the stories. I think they're better, they're cuter, and they're just more fun for me as a type 7. So yeah.
Yeah, Facebook doesn't have as many options for anything on stories. Like I wouldn't even waste your time trying to create a story over there because it's just easier to stick to one platform. So you know, okay, click here, and then you got all your stuff and then you're done and you move over to the next one. Another thing that's super helpful that I love is you can upload multiple photos. That took me a while to figure out that I can upload all 8 of them at once.
Yeah.
Like closing out and going back and have them all right there, and then you can click on them and you can go back and make sure they all load. Another tip is if you have like 7 pictures in one video, one video and then 7 pictures, sometimes the pictures will load first because they're easier and they get on there quicker, and then your stuff's going to be out of order. So if you have videos and pictures, just remember whatever the order is, the pictures are most likely going to get uploaded fast, unless my internet's just weird and slow, but I think that's normal for most people. And then 2, just pick a few things that you want to work on. Don't think about how everybody's doing lives with opportunity events and all this stuff on stories. Like just start small because it is new. You're learning something new and it can be overwhelming if you let it. I would schedule 10 minutes out of your day, 5 days a week, or a few hours on a Saturday for your free time to learn these things. But I've never used these fancy apps that Tiffany has to make stuff. I just do all of mine on Instagram. So you can even start there. Just do it on Instagram, do a hashtag, do a filter, say a few things, copy and paste some stories that some other PLEXUS person shared about gut imbalance and stuff like that, and then add a poll, and then you're done. But just getting in that habit of doing that every day, I think that you guys will find that it's more freeing than having to write a really good post that gets lots of likes and lots of comments on your actual wall. Because that's definitely where this journey has taken me with my stories. Not that your wall's not important, because it is, but try moving a little more emphasis to your stories because you're going to see a lot of interaction over there.
And you can even draw, if you have a good post, I've done it a few times too. If you have a good post, you can kind of block out that post with some of the tools and highlight over it. And then you can say like new post with one of those GIFs. And then you can have people drawn, you can even link it, and you can have people drawn into actually looking at your post versus seeing your story if it's like something really long. Like Fallon said, the graphics don't feel like you have to do. A lot of stuff you're able to hold down and screenshot too. I do that because honestly, y'all, it does not take me long to do. It takes me, some of it only 5-10 minutes max, but I know those apps, I copy, I paste, I click, I know where everything is. Like I've been doing this now for a while. So that's something that I worked into. At first, it was just gradually getting into the habit and creating that new habit of being consistent on stories. And, you know, my recruiting had even greatly gone up. And this was kind of after I hit Diamond. And, you know, it was after convention, I think. I was like, I'm going to start to use stories. And, you know, I've been recruiting like 5+ people, 10 a month even. So I think, and that I do credit from my stories, because I kept telling Fallon, I'm like, I've just been using stories more. And I think I told Jamie, I've only been using stories more. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was even getting more engagement on my stories. You could see on the slideshow, like there were 150 views on something versus when I had posted it, I only had like 50 views. So people that never come to my profile were able to see me pop up in the top, and they were clicking on it and seeing it. And even if they didn't go the whole way through to look at it, they were still engaging in it, and they were keeping that in the back of their mind. And I've seen them return even if they don't complete the whole thing. So know that your audience is watching, whether it's you posting on Facebook, stories, wherever it is, the market is there and they are watching everything. So yeah,
just trying to have interactive posts. The way I've been posting since I've gotten back into posting more frequently and consistently, I have so many engagements from people who are not PLEXUS. So posting engaging things that your audience will love. The people who have joined me, even in my business, join me because they trust my health knowledge and that I'm into all these healthy things. So that's what my audience wants. So I'm even getting questions and stuff on planners. But when you're adding value to people, they are going to come to you, and then PLEXUS is just going to be a natural flow into it. Recruiting has never felt painful or difficult for me, but I think it's because it comes into normal, natural conversation because we're already talking about this, and my life just kind of flows together because I'm passionate about any part of my life, but whatever it is, I think that people find it relatable when you're not just posting a boring post and then PLEXUS, boring and then PLEXUS. Like then you seem salesy, and stories are a great way to combat that.
Yep. Agree. All right. Well, we went a little bit over. Sorry, y'all. Hope that was good content. I will post that graphic too. I think that's everything for me. Any last thoughts, Val? You said everything, I think, too.
Yeah.
That was good.
I think just set a time limit. Like give yourself 10 minutes.
Yep. And just, and just start. Yeah. And just starting slow. Literally anything. Like if you, like I used to think stuff was so stupid and I'd be like, oh my gosh. Now, like, I'm posting about packages at my doorstep and people are messaging me saying it's so funny and they love it. And I'm like trying to hide it from my husband and everything else. So, like I used to think like, oh my gosh, whoever, but people, they love it. And I guess it's the same when I'm watching stories. I'm like, this is so entertaining. So don't feel like, literally you can post anything. I think I've posted it all. The story about my dog that's just one of my favorites, I think, to date. So, all right, y'all. Well, so happy to be on here tonight, and y'all have a good evening.
Bye, guys.
Good night.